There is a truth about men that most people will never tell you. A man will share his bed with the woman he can. But the man will give his heart, his obsession, his unshakable loyalty, to the woman who flips one hidden switch inside his mind. And no, it's not what you're probably imagining right now. It's not a bedroom trick, not a secret physical move, not a curve of the body or a perfect smile. I want you, just for a moment, to push aside every image and every belief you've absorbed about attraction. Forget the glossy advice from magazines. Forget the romanticized nonsense you've picked up from movies. Forget the well-meaning but misguided tips from your friends. What we are about to talk about lives on a level far deeper than all of that. It's invisible to the eye, but undeniable to the mind. It's older than modern love itself. Somewhere inside the human brain, inside his brain, there is a mechanism built over thousands of years of evolution. You can't see it, but it's there, buried in the limbic system, the part that decides in an instant whether a moment is worth forgetting or worth holding on to forever. When that mechanism is triggered, a man will not simply remember you. He will feel drawn to you in a way that doesn't fade with time, in a way that makes other women blur into the background. This switch decides whether you are just a pleasant chapter in his story or the woman whose name is etched into the spine of it. Have you ever found yourself asking, why did he go cold so suddenly? Why did I give everything? My kindness, my humor, my support, and he still walked away. Why does she, the one who doesn't even try, inspire more devotion than I ever could? Why does she have him wrapped around her finger while I'm left feeling like I have to earn every drop of attention? The answer, and I know this may sting, has almost nothing to do with effort. It has to do with the signal you send to that hidden part of his mind. The real question you should be asking is not, how can I make him want me physically? Physical desire is the easiest thing in the world to ignite. The real question is, what can I awaken in him so that I live in his thoughts long after I've left the room? This thing I'm about to reveal is not a gimmick. It is not manipulation. It is not even seduction, in the way you've been taught to understand the word. It is the raw operating system of male attraction, something backed not just by my experience but by the science of how the male brain evolved to pair, to protect, and to pursue. When you understand this, you'll never again feel trapped in the exhausting hamster wheel of being perfect enough to be chosen. You will stop bending yourself into shapes that aren't yours. You will, for perhaps the first time, begin to direct your energy exactly where it creates something lasting. Here's the paradox. The modern world has sold women a checklist. Beauty, toned body, effortless charm, sexual skill, social magnetism. You see this list everywhere, in movies, on social media, in conversations, and it's so long, so heavy, that many women feel they must sculpt themselves into a flawless product just to have a chance. And yet, in the real world, the truth keeps getting in the way. We've all seen it happen. The woman who is, by every cultural measure, a perfect 10 gets left. The relationship that looked like a dream dissolves. Meanwhile, there's another woman, not fitting that cultural mold at all, who inspires devotion, obsession, lifelong loyalty. Why? Because most of us have been taught to knock on the wrong door. The door of the body. The door of the obvious, the visible, the physical. That's the door that opens easily and closes just as quickly. There is another door, one very few people even acknowledge, let alone know how to open. It is heavier, it is better guarded, and it is far, far more important. It is the door to the male mind. That is where the decision is made. That is where the difference lives between being an option and being a priority, between being one of many and being the only one. This decision happens in a place you cannot see, in a place most of us never learn to reach. Inside that place is what I call the gatekeeper. Imagine a guard standing at the entrance to his long-term memory, his deeper emotional wiring. This guard examines every interaction he has with you and makes a choice. Is this pleasant but replaceable? File it under temporary and let it fade. Or does this contain something rare, something that makes his mind want to hold on to it? If yes, the guard waves it through the gate, straight into the vault where long-term desire and emotional imprinting are stored. Here's the problem. Almost all the common dating strategies, the flirting tips, the play hard to get games, the curated Instagram perfection, are built to slip something past the guard for one night. They can work temporarily, but they do not contain the catalyst that forces the gatekeeper to open the heavy door for good. What we're talking about is that catalyst. The invisible chemical in the mental drug that turns a pleasant evening into an unforgettable connection. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. And when I say the word, you might not feel the weight of it yet. But by the time we're done, you will. The word is admiration. You may be thinking, admiration? That doesn't sound romantic. It doesn't sound passionate. Isn't that what you feel for a mentor, not a lover? And I get it. That's why most people miss it. That's why most women keep running toward the wrong door. But listen closely. A man's attraction begins with a spark, yes. A glance across the room. A body that catches his eye. That's the primitive, animal part of his brain speaking. But the primitive brain is fickle. It moves on quickly. Admiration rewires the whole equation. It shifts his inner dialogue from, I want her, to, am I worthy of her? And in that moment, the roles change. He's no longer simply the hunter chasing prey. He's a man standing in front of a woman who exists in her own light, her own value, her own self-sustaining world. And that is the most magnetic thing he can encounter. Admiration makes him want not just to touch you, but to stand beside you. Not just to be with you, but to rise to meet you. It makes him want to understand you, learn from you, take a piece of your magic into himself. And here's the beautiful truth. You don't need to be a CEO or a best-selling author to inspire admiration. It's not about monumental achievements. It's about authenticity and passion. It's the way your eyes light up when you talk about something you love. It's the courage in your voice when you defend your opinion. It's the stubborn focus you show when you're wrestling a challenge. Yes, even something as simple as putting together a piece of furniture, because you care enough to finish what you start. In those moments, you stop being just attractive. You become unforgettable. And here's what happens next, almost without you knowing it. His old brain, the one wired for challenge, for meaning, for purpose, wakes up. You're no longer part of a game. You've become a mission. But here's the catch. If admiration is so powerful, why do so many women dim it? Why do they hide their strength, quiet their voices, make themselves smaller? Because from the time we were little girls, we've been told a dangerous story. We've been warned, don't be too smart, don't be too successful, don't be too independent. You'll scare men away. It's been whispered into us through films, through family advice, through culture. And in believing it, we sabotage the very thing that could inspire true devotion. The truth is, a man of genuine worth is not afraid of your strength. He does not shy away from your intelligence, your independence, or your success. But there is a fine line that most people never talk about. A high-value man will pull closer when your strength feels like an invitation. He will pull away when your strength feels like a weapon. If you treat him like an opponent, if your intelligence becomes a constant tool to prove him wrong, if your success is something you wield to diminish his, then you are no longer a partner in his eyes. You have become a rival. And in that shift, the spark between masculine and feminine energy dies instantly. Men are wired toward competition, problem-solving, forward motion. When a man approaches you with romantic intent, he is not seeking someone to fight. He's seeking a complementary force, a polarity that makes him feel more alive, not more defensive. The tragic irony is that many women, in trying to prove their value, end up stepping into combat mode without even realizing it. They correct every small error. They challenge every statement. They turn conversations into debates and dates into intellectual duels. Let me give you a story. Sophia is brilliant. She's a top-level executive. She's traveled the world. She's well-read. She's independent. She's also deeply frustrated. She swears men can't handle successful women. On dates, she lays out her resume like a card game, one achievement after another. If her date shares an accomplishment, she matches it with one twice as impressive. If he expresses an opinion, she dismantles it until he has nothing left to say. She believes she is showing her worth. But the men who sit across from her walk away feeling like they just left a job interview they didn't sign up for. Or worse, like they just lost a court case. They're not intimidated by her success. They're exhausted by the energy of being measured, judged, and found lacking. What happened next in Sophia's life is revealing. She eventually met a man who didn't compete, who didn't challenge her. In fact, he avoided challenge altogether. He was passive, content to stand in her shadow. First, this felt easy. There were no clashes, no debates. But over time, something inside her shifted. She began to lose respect for him. Attraction drained away, because when he turned down his own masculine energy just to keep the peace, he stopped being someone she could admire. And without admiration, there was no fire left to burn. Now compare that to Laura. Laura is also smart, successful, and independent. But she carries herself differently. When she speaks of her accomplishments, it's with a light in her eyes, not a scoreboard in her mind. She's genuinely interested in the man in front of her. She listens. She asks questions. She isn't there to compete with him. She's there to explore him, to understand his world. Her confidence doesn't overshadow his. It stands beside it, making the room brighter. Men don't feel small around Laura. They feel bigger. They don't run from her. They line up to be near her because she's not trying to win over them. She's inspiring them to win alongside her. This destroys the myth that you have to make yourself smaller to be loved. Never shrink. But here's where it gets complicated. What if you are like Laura, warm, confident, inspiring, and he still feels insecure? Should you dim your light to protect his feelings? The answer is a hard, clear no. And it's not just a matter of self-respect. It's a matter of strategy. Because the moment you start shrinking yourself for him, you've revealed the most important truth of all. This is not your man. A low-value man feels about a strong woman's light the way a vampire feels about the sunrise. It doesn't inspire him. It burns him. It forces him to confront his own fears, his lack of ambition, his comfort with mediocrity. And when faced with that, he has two options. He can grow, or he can pull you into the darkness with him. Many will choose the second. They will try to dim you with teasing, with doubt, with guilt. They'll call you intimidating, too much, too intense. When that happens, he has handed you his resignation. The right response is gratitude for the clarity. And the door. A high-value man is different. Your light draws him in. Your success challenges him, not to beat you, but to rise to meet you. Your intelligence excites him. Your independence doesn't threaten him. It intrigues him. To him, you are not a danger to his masculinity. You are a summit worth climbing. You are the rare art he wants to study, not to control but to understand. This is the deepest secret of male desire. It's not the sight of a naked woman. That's primal, fleeting, and easily replaced. It's the sight of a woman in her element, fully alive, fully present in her own passion. It's watching her move through her world like it was built for her. And in that moment, he doesn't just think, I want her. He thinks, I want to be worthy of her. That's when it stops being about possession and starts being about transformation. You've become not just the woman he desires, but the standard he measures himself against. And that kind of pull is impossible to fake. So how do you become that woman in your everyday life? Not through tactics, not by memorizing lines or planning scenes like an actress. It's a shift in where you put your focus. You stop asking, what do men like? And you start asking, what ignites me? Forget about men for a moment. Forget about dating. Ask yourself, what makes me talk so fast I forget to breathe? What can I do for hours without checking my phone? What injustice makes me want to stand up and speak out? What quirky obsession makes my eyes light up even though I've always assumed no one else would care? That is where your gold is buried. That is where the ingredients for admiration live. You don't have to invent anything new. You only have to rediscover it. And then you have to stop hiding it. The second step is understanding that admiration is not about informing him of who you are. It's about letting him feel it. If you're passionate about films, don't just say, I like movies. Tell him about the scene that made you cry because of the way the light told the story. Invite him into your world. There's an old book market this weekend. I love the smell of those books. Come with me. It's not about whether he likes books or movies. It's about whether he feels your passion. That's what leaves a mark. From now on, stop editing yourself to keep the peace. Stop pretending to like things you don't, just to seem relatable. Stop playing helpless so he can feel useful. Stop pouring all your energy into supporting his dreams while your own gather dust. Start defending your time for your projects. Start saying no when something pulls you away from what matters to you. Don't be afraid of disagreement. Share your path, including the parts that aren't glamorous. I'm trying to learn to code. Today was a disaster, but I'll try again tomorrow. Live like you are the main character in your own story. He can be a co-star, but never the director. Yes, some men will walk away. Some will not connect. Some will be intimidated. That is not failure. That is your filter working perfectly. Every man who leaves because your light is too bright is doing you a favor. He is clearing space for the man who will see that light as the most beautiful thing about you. The raw materials for this thing called admiration aren't found in the obvious places. They're not in the lingerie store, not in the mirror after hours of makeup, not in the way you pose for a photo. They're tucked away in your bookshelf, in the deep conversations with a friend who challenges you, in the half-finished business plans sitting in your desk drawer, in the solo trip you've been postponing because you're waiting for someone to join you. They're in the little corners of your life you've been neglecting because you thought they didn't matter. When you start nurturing those corners, you begin to grow something bigger than attractiveness. You start building what I call your garden. And here's the thing about gardens. You don't build them for the butterflies. You build them because you want a place so rich, so beautiful, so alive that the right butterflies can't resist. And the wrong ones, they don't stay. That's exactly what you want. We've traveled far already. We've dismantled the myth of intimidation. We've uncovered the nuclear fuel of admiration. We've seen how it acts as a living filter, pushing away the ones who can't handle you and pulling in the ones who want to rise to meet you. But if you think this is just a strategy to get a man, you're missing most of the point. This isn't about him. It's about you. For most of our lives, we've been taught to tilt our heads toward the outside world, to hunt for validation. We've been trained to ask, am I pretty enough for him? Am I interesting enough? Am I good enough? And because of that, we've reshaped ourselves, our personalities, our bodies, our dreams, in hopes of getting a yes from someone else. But the path we're walking now flips that completely around. It's a revolution. It's the moment you stop asking if you're enough for him and start asking if the life you're living is enough for you. I want you to picture your life as a campfire. For too long, we've been told to wander the night carrying a weak, flickering flame, always searching for someone to bring us wood so it doesn't go out. It's exhausting, it's cold, and it keeps you dependent. The approach I'm talking about is the opposite. You stop wandering. You find a place. You kneel down and start stacking your own logs. You gather kindling, your passions, your skills, your friendships, your goals, and you strike the match yourself. You tend it every day, not out of desperation, but out of devotion to the life you're building. And slowly that fire grows. It burns hotter, brighter, until its light can be seen from miles away. People are not drawn to a flame that looks like it's about to go out. They are drawn to a fire that's alive, steady, and warm. The ones who are meant for you will be drawn to it without you having to wave them over. The ones who aren't will keep walking. Being admirable is not a performance you put on when you're trying to impress someone. It's the natural byproduct of respecting yourself. When you value your time, when you protect your energy, when you stand for your passions, when you treat your body as worthy, you are sending a silent message into the world. This is the standard. This is how I expect to be treated. And here's the beautiful, almost unfair thing about this way of living. Once you build your fire, there are only two possible outcomes. The first, a high-value man sees it from a distance, drawn to it. He doesn't come to smother it, doesn't try to control it. He brings his own wood, sits beside you, and together you make the flame stronger. That is a relationship built on mutual respect and genuine admiration. The second, you build your fire, time passes, weeks, months, maybe years, and no one joins you. Is that failure? Not even close. It's victory. Because in that time you are becoming wiser, more interesting, more alive than you've ever been. You are in love with your own life. So much so that if someone comes along, it's a welcome addition, but never again a desperate need. This is the part most people miss when they chase relationships. The deepest form of attraction, the kind that inspires loyalty, that burns in the mind for years, has nothing to do with molding yourself into the woman you think he wants. It comes from being so fully yourself, so alive in your own skin, that it is a privilege for anyone to stand beside you and feel your warmth. Every single day you face a choice between two roads. One is wide, well-worn, and crowded. It's the road of adaptation. On this road, you trim your edges so you don't offend. You laugh at jokes that don't make you laugh. You nod in agreement when every cell in your body wants to say no. You pour yourself into becoming a softer, smaller, more palatable version of yourself, hoping someone will pick you. It is the road of chasing validation. The other road is narrow, steep, and sometimes lonely. It is the road of building. Here, you choose to read the book instead of binge-watching the trending series. You sign up for the course your friends don't understand. You speak your mind even when your voice shakes. You let yourself be fascinated by the things that fascinate you, without apologizing for them. You become a woman who doesn't wait to be chosen, but chooses for herself who is allowed into her life. This is the road of self-respect. And when you walk it, something shifts. You begin to understand that every man who walks away because your fire is too bright is doing you an enormous favor. He is saving you from months or years of being asked, in little ways, to dim yourself. And more than that, he is making space for the one who will not just sit by your fire, but feed it. If you remember nothing else from this, remember this: your light is both your filter and your magnet. It will repel the ones who can't grow and attract the ones who are hungry to rise. That is the point. That is the power. That is how admiration works, not as a trick to pull him closer, but as a mirror showing him the man he could become if he stands next to you. When you live this way, you stop thinking about attraction in the shallow, short-term sense. You start thinking about legacy. You start realizing that your presence in someone's life has a half-life, a way of lingering in the mind long after you're gone. And the question shifts from, will he want me now? To, when he remembers me years from now, what will he feel? If you've ever been truly captivated by someone, you know it's not their looks that haunt you. Beauty is a photograph, easy to admire in the moment, easy to forget with time. What lingers is the way they made you feel, the way they made you think, the way they pulled you into their world. And that's the space you want to occupy in his memory. So, years down the road, when he's alone with his thoughts, what will come back to him? Will it be a pretty face he saw 1,000 times before? Will it be the agreeable, nice girl who smiled at everything he said? Those memories fade like steam on a mirror, interchangeable, disposable. Or will he remember the fire in your eyes when you spoke about something that mattered to you? Will he hear the echo of your laugh? Not polite, not calculated, but real and unrestrained? Will he feel again that gravitational pull of your self-contained world, the one that didn't orbit around him but welcomed him in for a time? That's the kind of memory that speeds the heartbeat even years later. That's the kind of memory that makes him wonder if he'll ever meet someone like you again. This is why, the next time you're in front of the mirror getting ready, you need to ask a better question. Not, how can I look more attractive tonight? But, how can I be more myself today? Because beauty might catch his eye, but admiration captures his mind. And once you've got his mind, you've got something that outlasts every curve, every perfect hair day, every clever text. When admiration is alive between two people, it changes how physical connection feels. A kiss is no longer just a kiss. It's the physical seal on an unspoken pact. It says, I see you. I'm inspired by you. I'm drawn to you in a way that's not just skin deep. It's why the most memorable moments between two people often have very little to do with perfection and everything to do with sincerity. But here's a truth you have to hold close. Admiration cannot be manufactured. You can't force it with performance. You can't mimic it by memorizing interesting things to say. You can't buy it with clothes or luxury or status symbols. It comes from living in such a way that your passions are visible without you trying to display them. It comes from letting your mind and your heart lead, so that anyone paying attention can see you are a whole, fascinating person. One they want to learn from, not just possess. It also means letting go of the habit of over-curating yourself for approval. That tendency to smooth every edge, to filter every thought, to serve the version of yourself you think will be easiest to like. That's the death of admiration. Because admiration feeds on authenticity. It grows in the presence of courage. It thrives when a man sees you stand for something, even when it's unpopular, even when it's inconvenient. And yes, this path guarantees that some people will walk away. But that is the point. You are not trying to be universally liked. You are trying to be unmistakably you. The goal isn't to keep every man's attention. The goal is to create such a clear signal that the wrong men self-select out, leaving only those who feel compelled to step closer. In this way, your life becomes the filter. The way you spend your time, the boundaries you hold, the way you invest in your own growth, all of it sends a message. Every man you meet is either going to hear that message as an invitation or as a warning. And either response is a gift because both save you time. There's another beautiful thing about admiration. It's reciprocal in the right relationship. When a man of value meets a woman who inspires him, he doesn't just want to keep her close. He wants to rise to meet her. And the energy between them starts to build in both directions. Her fire feeds his and his fuels hers. They don't try to outshine each other. They expand the light together. That's when love stops being a transaction and becomes an evolution. If you've ever been in a relationship where both people admire each other deeply, you know how different it feels. It's not about control. It's not about security through ownership. It's about the thrill of knowing you are standing next to someone who makes you want to be more. Not because they're pushing you, but because being around them reminds you of what's possible. And if you've never experienced that, then this journey we're talking about is your doorway to it. Because the kind of man who will meet you there is looking for exactly the signals that come from a woman who's lit her own fire. He's not looking for someone to complete him. He's looking for someone whose life is already full, so they can create something even greater together. So when you think about attraction from now on, don't picture yourself adjusting to fit his outline. Picture yourself as the outline, the standard, the gravitational center. When you move through the world with that kind of self-respect, you stop chasing and start choosing. And the choosing is where all your power lives. Every day you wake up, you stand at the entrance of those two paths we talked about. The wide road of adaptation and the narrower, steeper road of authenticity. The choice you make isn't a one-time event. It's daily. It's in the little moments, the split-second decisions that either protect your fire or smother it. On the wide road, you'll find comfort in numbers. Many people walk there. It's well lit, well worn, and the rules are easy to follow. Keep your edges soft. Keep your voice agreeable. Don't stir the waters. Feel safe, but there's a hidden cost. You spend your days editing yourself, presenting a watered-down version that's easy to like but impossible to truly love. You might get chosen here, but you'll always wonder if it was the real you he chose. The narrow road is lonelier at first, can feel uncertain. You won't always be understood. But with each step, you stack the stones of your own life. You choose the book that feeds your mind over the distraction that keeps it numb. You pursue the project that excites you, even if no one else sees its value yet. You speak the truth in your chest, even if your voice shakes. You protect the rituals that make you feel alive, even if it means disappointing someone else. And slowly, the path becomes yours alone, defined by your passions, your values, your non-negotiables. When you live this way, you stop seeing solitude as emptiness. You see it as space. Space to grow. Space to think. Space to let the right people find you, not because you've chased them, but because your life is a beacon to those tuned to your frequency. And when the right man does appear, you'll notice something important. He's not trying to dim your light. He's drawn to it. He doesn't just want to be with you. He wants to be better beside you. He doesn't fear your independence. He respects it. He doesn't shrink from your passion. He's fueled by it. That's the man who will sit by your fire and bring his own wood, who will help you build something neither of you could have created alone. But here's the paradox. The happiest ending to this story isn't necessarily finding him. The happiest ending is realizing that you've built a life you love so much, a fire so strong, that his presence is a bonus, not a requirement. When you reach that place, you'll stop worrying about scaring men away. You'll understand that every man who walks away because you're too much has done you a favor. He's spared you the slow erosion of dimming yourself to make someone else comfortable. So here's what I want you to remember. The most powerful kind of attraction is not about making yourself into the woman you think he wants. It's about becoming so fully yourself that it's a privilege to stand beside you. Beauty might pull him in for a moment, but admiration keeps him there. Admiration comes from your light, your passions, your integrity, your authenticity, and that light becomes the filter that separates the ones who can't handle you from the one who's been looking for exactly you. If a man you've known thinks of you years from now, I don't want him to remember a pretty face or a polite laugh. I want him to remember the way his pulse jumped when you spoke about something you believed in. I want him to remember the warmth of your laugh, the honesty in your eyes, the way you carried your own world with you wherever you went. That's the kind of memory that doesn't fade. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up and start your day, ask yourself the only question that matters. How can I be more myself today? Not the most beautiful, not the most agreeable, not the easiest to like. The most you, because beauty captures the eye, but admiration captures the mind. And when you've captured the mind, the heart and the body follow willingly. In the end, that's the truth that almost no one will tell you. The man who matters, the one who will admire you, rise with you, stay with you, he's not searching for the woman who's perfect on paper. He's searching for the woman who burns so brightly in her own life that being near her feels like coming home. And you have the power to be her, not by becoming someone else, but by coming fully back to yourself. So tend your fire, protect it, feed it, let it be seen, and trust that the ones who are meant to stand beside it will find their way to your light.